Hey guys, here I am. It's been a while. Welcome along. Good to be back. Good to be feeling semi-human again. Semi. So who have we got in the room? Unfinished Project Art Sport. Welcome along. First in. Very good. Silly old bloke from Aussie land. That's a new name. Don't remember seeing that one before. But hey, welcome. Beagle Bob. Good to have you here, mate. Chris Freemesser. He doesn't mess up. Oh, mate, you never know in this house. You never know. David Tyree, welcome along. K2 Hat. Okay, yep, welcome along. Mark the Coronet guy. Hello, Kiwi from Washington State. Well, welcome along, bud. Good to have you here, man. Yeah, he is doing crazy things here. All right. Beagle Bob, glad you're back on your feet. Yeah, me too. It was a little bit it was a bit rough. It was a bit rough. Still not 100% over it yet. Hey, he likes my t-shirt. That's a new one. So seems apt, you know. Jeff Hutchins, glad you're better Kiwi now. I have it. Oh man, that sucks. Hello from K2 Hat. Hey, thanks for the super chat, man. Awesome. Hello from Florida. Happy December. Yeah, well, happy December. Man, can you believe it's almost Christmas already? Unbelievable. Silly old bloke from Aussie land. How many silly old blokes in Aussie? Mate, is that you, Tavo? Have you changed your name or something? Silly old bloke from Aussie land. I'm not sure who that is. The lower man, LVG. Welcome back. Glad you're over it. Well, yeah, I'm probably 85%. I think I'm still coughing a little bit, so excuse me if I do have a few coughs tonight. But hey, can't be helped. Chris Tripe, 750 rye whiskey tonight. Well, I mean, is that what you're having tonight? I'm having Applejack, so it's a little bit easier on the throat. Charles Dalton, welcome along. Old timer, good to have you here, man. Yeah, Jeff Hutchins, you got the flu as well. Man, yeah, it seems to be going around and it seems pretty contagious, like it's easy to catch. Paul Funk, yeah, everyone hit the like button. That'd be awesome if you can. It helps a lot. Silly old bloke. Thought the pacer donk might give it away. You are correct, Mr. Kiwi. Oh, okay. Okay. Why the change of names? Did you get hacked or something, or what's going on there, bud? Yeah, it's a little hard. I think I can make out the pacer engine in your little what do they call that? Avatar thing. But yeah, now that you say it's a pacer dog, yeah, I can kind of almost see it, but it's pretty small. There it is. Danny Boy, welcome along. Good to have you here, man. Chris Freemesser, don't know why YouTube feels it needs to use our handles instead of our channel name. Oh, okay. Is that what's going on, is it? Just remember to change to live chat so I get all the messages. For some reason you saying that about the handles, Chris reminded me of that. So Charles Dalton, once again, glad you're feeling better. Yeah, well, thanks, mate. A lot of you wish me some, get well soon and stuff, so it's all much appreciated. Matt Kennedy, feel better? I do feel better. I felt freaking awful a couple of weeks back, but takes a lot to keep me away from work, and I couldn't get my ass out of bed to go to work. So yeah, I've lost a bit of time, I must be honest, but what are you going to do? Stephen Bunky Bird, good to see you doing better. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Mark the Coronet guy, I was down with the crud a week ago. Nasty stuff. Took me a week and a half to truly get back to normal. Mate, I'm kind of at 2.5 weeks, and I'm not really. I'm close to back to normal, but not there yet. Old timer, I'm on a break from alcohol. Was becoming too routine on day 4 of 2-week break. Good on you, bud. It does get like that sometimes. Yeah, you got to. I try and like obviously I have a drink on a Tuesday. I have one bourbon on a Tuesday night, but otherwise I'm kind of a maybe Thursday, but a Friday, Saturday drinker because it does start to become too much of a habit, and it's a slippery slope, I feel. Danny Boyd did 6 days last week. Well, very good. K2 Hat. I go alcohol easy, but cannot stay away from coffee. Hope you're feeling 100% soon. Mate, yeah, giving up coffee would be tough. I got to say, that would be tough. Yeah. I'm going to keep calling you Tavo, mate. A change is as good as a holiday, they say. And since I'm not working, I can't have holidays. No, you're still a man of leisure there, bud. Still a man of leisure. You must be getting caught up on some of your projects. Or mind you, there's probably no money for projects, I guess. Yes, I figured out felling was meant to be feeling, but yeah, that's the trouble with fat fingers. Chris Triumph, I was sick 2 weeks ago, hacking up Goodyear tyres, feeling good now. Hacking up Goodyear tyres. Ooh, that paints a picture, doesn't it? Danny Boyd, I can stay away from coffee. It gives me UTIs. Wow. Okay. That's a little bit different. I do miss the caffeine jolt, though. Yeah, it's very much a habit for me with coffee. But, yeah, like I can have a coffee like before I go to bed. It doesn't keep me awake. It doesn't seem to give me that much of a jolt, which probably says something about how much I have. Nathan McCree, good to see you feeling better. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Good to have you here. Danny Boyd, routine is okay if you're moderate. Well, yeah, that's right. All things in moderation, isn't it? All things in moderation. I picked up another Yamaha for a winter project. Oh, there you go. What sort of Yamaha? Tavo. Okay, let's make it see. Let's make it make sense again. Yeah, that looks much more familiar, doesn't it? Old timer, Danny Boyd. I'm almost always very moderate, a slight tingle, and I don't usually want more, but still time for a break. Fair enough. Paul Bruno, hi Kiwi and everyone. Hey, welcome along, man. Good to have you here. David Tyree, I'm on Adams Ale. Oh, okay. Yep. That's nice. It's a nice beer. It's a nice beer. Mark Coronet guy, I figure that's what the flu is for. It makes you take an alcohol break for a week or two. Oh, that's true. Yes. I had a bourbon on Sunday night, and then had one. Obviously, having one now. But yeah, that's been about it for 2.5 weeks. Oi, Tavo's here. He just missed that other Aussie guy. Yeah. One and the same, Beagle. One and the same. You were still sounding a bit under it in the Swiss cheese update, but yeah, that was, I kind of just felt like I had to do something because I'd been like a solid 2 weeks without any videos. So, yeah, that it probably sounded how I felt, yeah, but just the work's got to get done, and like you can either sit at home doing nothing, feeling like shit, or you can go to work and do something and feel like shit. The day at least goes a bit quicker at work, Mark Coronet guy, just free messy, you freak. Dare to be Chris Freemasser, dare to be different. There you go. Chris Triumph, the dreaded lurgy gets you now and again, Kiwi. Ah, yeah, it does, yeah. David Tyree, Adams Ale equals water. What am I thinking of then? Adam's Ale. I haven't heard it called water called Adam's Ale before. Orlando. It's an old one, 25C single two-stroke dirt bike. Love two-stroke bikes, the sound and the torque. Yeah, when they come on strong, don't they? It's kind of like a rotary Mazda, that's been ported a little bit. They have a real power band they are a two-stroke, so yeah, but they have a power band like a two-stroke motorbike. Caffeine doesn't do anything to or for me. Not much for coffee though. No, fair enough. Jeff Hutchins, yeah. Alcohol, I can go months without. Coffee, I made it almost 15 minutes once it was rough. Just on. All this talking's getting to me already. Wow, and we're only 10 minutes in. That's not a good sign. Danny Boyd, my favourite beverage is a water and fruit juice. There you go. Old time, I don't go for bitter beer, so Sam Adams. That's what I was thinking he was meaning, Adams. Sam Adams lager is out. Okay. But Sam Light is real good. Still heavier than any other light beer. Yeah, I actually quite like Sam Adams lager, but that's where we're all different, eh? Lang Connolly, a winter project in South Florida means it's cool enough to work in the garage and less mosquitoes. Sounds like a good time of year. Josh Homan, good to be here. Good to have you here, man. Jeff Hutchins, Mexican Coke is my addiction. Try to only have one per day, never more than two. No, well, yeah, that's probably wise. So Mexican Coke has the real sugar in it, doesn't it? Not full of all these corn syrups and high fructose corn syrups and stuff. It's actually real sugar, if I'm not mistaken, which does make it nicer. Josh Homan, good evening to one and all. Good to have you here, man. Danny Boyd, Lane Connolly, I was down there last week and it started getting cold Friday and Saturday. Okay. Old timer, he means Sam Adams. Right. Yeah. Okay. I thought that's what he must have meant. Tavo, working is better. You push it out of your system instead of just sitting around letting it eat you up. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of my motto normally, but yeah, a few days the other week, I just couldn't get to work. I was just done. Mark the Coronet guy. Actually, if you do get up off the couch, sometimes it does help get the motor running again. Yeah, that's what I believe. Yeah. Tavo, I have a 1977 British rival motocross bike, the only one in Australia. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is going to be tough, guys. If I have to keep knocking back the bourbon like that, I'm going to end up letting chip-faced. Whole timer, we got 10 inches of snow today. It's winter now. 10 inches. Wow. That's brutal. No, Coronet guy. Okay, enough about ailments. What's the current projects, Kiwi? Any new stuff on Large March coming? No. I did get the engine up to the engine rebuilders, and they, the parts, because I stripped it down. But they were, and I've got the 4-inch stroker crank and the rods and stuff like that. I've got to order some pistons once we figure out what size the overbore is. That's what the machine shop's doing at the moment is like cleaning, sonic testing, and seeing how much of an overbore she needs to clean her up. So once I know that, and hopefully that'll be maybe this week, we can start moving forward on that. And as soon as that starts to happen, I'm probably going to start pulling a few pieces off Marge and fixing some of the rust, doing some body work on it. Like a couple of the doors need a bottom 3 inches or so, where the sand had been sitting in the bottom of the doors and gotten damp and just rusted through, like on a line at the top of the sand. So yeah, little bits and pieces like that. That spare wheel cover that's just behind the rear wheel arch, that needs reskinning. So Kind of going to get in amongst that. Let's say as soon as I know that engine's starting to come along, and be like, oh, okay, it's time to start getting ready, to put that engine bay back together. So like I've got a little bit of repair work to do on the core support, one of the inner fenders, stuff like that. All in the pockets. Tavo, the bike I picked up is an 81. Wow, that's getting old now, isn't it? 45 years old. It's an old bike. Danny Boyd, we got about 4 inches of snow in southern Ohio. Wow. Why? So, okay, Orlando's got a YZ125, the toy that can kill you. Yeah, that'd have. They're pretty lively, aren't they? K2 Hat, Danny Boyd, should have given up the toy cars 20 years earlier. LOL, mortgage is almost paid for. I'm tempted to buy an older car, but freak out on the prices compared to 20 and especially 50 years ago. Oh, good Lord, yes. There's still some bargains to be had out there, though, but you've kind of just got to look outside. I think look outside, think outside the box, really, or look outside the box for something that, people aren't queuing up to throw money at, Like, I mean, buying a 68 Charger, we'd all like to do that, but like that's not happening. Not for most of us anyway. Obviously, they're selling, but, for the average guy, those cars, 69 Camaros, fastback Mustangs, they're all kind of, I don't know, I can't say for all of us, but they used to be affordable for the average guy, but they're really not anymore. Paul Bruno, very cold here in South Central Tennessee. So South Central is that? Well, let's see where. Well, I'm Tennessee. Nashville, Franklin is kind of South Central, but yeah, it is pretty cold. Where are you, Paul? Tavo, first of the water cooled or last of the air cooled. Okay. Yeah, you're kind of losing me a bit there, guys. I'm not really up on my motorbikes, but I just know enough to know that's quite a quick little machine. Danny Boyd, one bad thing about being old is seeing prices go up so much that you refuse to pay them. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Like, even just while I've been here, like my Mustang, the KSV 9000, I paid. That was a coupe, a 6-cylinder. Okay, 6-cylinder, but 99% rust free. It was super solid body, and I paid $850 for it. Well, people are asking $5,000 for rough ones. And that car drove. You could drive it, like yard drive it. And it needed a rear quarter where it had a bit of accident damage, and they cut the rear quarter off and kind of figured out that they didn't know how to put it back on. So I came along and paid $850 for it. But you certainly can't get a Mustang for that anymore. Not any kind of Mustang. Tavo, decisions to be made here now. Another coffee or 2 fingers of scotch. Well, you could put a little bit of scotch in your coffee, bit of whiskey in the coffee is always nice. Chris Freemesser, there you go. Great minds think alike, all right? Chavo, you have all the answers. There you go. I do what I can to help out my people. You're a generous soul, Mr. Freemason. Yes, always very helpful. Paul Brenner, Murfreesboro. Okay, so you're only half an hour from me, 20 minutes. Danny Boyd, I ain't paying no 50 cents for the Coke. You can tell it's not gone yet, is it? Morganizer T, Kia ora, bro. Kia ora, cuz. Morgan, I don't think we've seen you on here for a while. Not that I haven't been on here for a while either, so I guess I can't say too much. But good to have some Kiwis in the room. That's very good. So what else has been going on? Obviously not that much at work. I've got a Mustang that I did a video on a couple of years back, a really pretty turquoise one, 65 or 6, can't remember now, fastback. That I did a video on, and I kind of nicknamed it the unicorn because it was so nice and so rust free. And anyway, he had a few things done at another shop that's a lot closer. Like that guy that owns that car is an hour and 15 minutes away from me. So he used a shop that was like 5 minutes from him, and they did a few things, and they did a few things wrong. So it's found its way back to me. So we're trying to straighten that out at the moment. Just lots of silly little things. They put power steering on it, and I don't quite know how they did it, but the exhaust manifold was resting on the steering box, so that was making it really harsh and vibrating and rattling and clunking, and so that happened. They did the power steering and a 5-speed at the same time, and they haven't lined up the transmission, and now we're having issues with the transmission TKX. But yeah, it's honest, like it's 12 months old, I guess, the transmission, not many miles, but it's notchy each time you change gear. Like the old secondhand 68 Mustang top loader that I've got in the truck, it's a smoother transmission than TKX. So that's a concern. Yeah, so that one will probably have a video on that before too much longer. Chris Freeman, how's Steve feeling? He's a lot better, but he's still coughing a little bit too. So we're kind of trying to stay away from each other as, opposite sides of the workshop if we can. But yeah, he's had it for a week longer than me, so the stuff's got the bug has got some staying power. David Tyree, us Kiwis pop up everywhere. This is very true. Very true. Tavo, we even have a moderator in the room now too. That's right. Not that we need it with the high quality of audience that Kiwi attracts. That's right. Well, I don't know if it's me that attracts it, but it's definitely a high quality of audience. Yeah, we just don't have a lot of bullshit, which is really good. Morganize, I'm heading home in a couple of days with a new grill for my bro-in-law's 85C10. There you go. Heading home for Christmas, mate? You staying there for a few weeks? Chef Hutchins, man, people pay over $8.50 for Mustangs. Yeah, buddy, they do. They really do. I think that's a bit harsh. That's funny, but a bit harsh. Yeah. Danny Boyd, I once paid $2,500 for a Mustang, a 92 GT hatch, 5-speed. There you go. Morganizer, careful, Kiwi loves his Ford, and we are his guests. Look, I've had so much fun poked at me for loving Fords, especially, well, not just YouTube wise, but since I hit the States, really. It's not that too different in Australia and New Zealand. Like the GM Holden guys love to poke fun at the Ford guys, the Falcon guys, and vice versa. It's the way it's always been. I think the way it's always will be. But no, you can't take it. You can't take it to heart. Oh, I don't think you can. Like, I've seen some really, had some really funny Ford jokes, and I mean, they can be turned around and just delete Ford and insert Chevrolet. It's the same joke, really. But yeah. Tava, I once paid more than $1,000 for a Valiant. Yeah, but it was probably new. Mark Coronet guy, the moderator here is perfect. You wouldn't even know he's here. I can't watch Tony's live anymore. His moderator loves to take over the chat. It annoys the hell out of me. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. So Tony doesn't put the brakes on him or anything. Just, wow. Okay. Jeff Hutchins, Morganizer, he'll laugh. You just wait and watch. Yeah. I mean, a funny joke's a funny joke. It doesn't really matter what the subject matter is. Danny Boyd, I've spent $5,400 over 4 different Stangs. Still have the $1,300 one and the $1,000 one. There you go. Orlando Pockets, never had a Mustang, but had a V8 Falcon. Well, that's pretty close. Snow Crushers in the house, all the way from Canada. Yeah, good to have you here, mate. Danny Boyd, never had a first-gen Mustang, but I had a 68 Cougar. Oh, you'd have liked that 68 Cougar video then, wouldn't you? Chris Freeman, Tony has 4 moderators in his live streams. Yeah, I'm not sure why you need 4, but he gets a huge amount of, commenters. So I guess it could get out of hand fairly quickly. And, of course, Tony does attract his trolls, and he does it on purpose. Let's be honest. Like he likes winding them up, and and it works for him. He has trolls, but he has a bit of fun with it. So it works for him. So good on. Tavo, actually, that's $1,000 plus. Valiant is the rust bucket in the shed now. All the running registers ones were under 1K. Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. So you paid more for the rust bucket than you did for the running registered ones. So what was the motivation there, Tavo? What was that about? I'm sure there's more to that story. Paul Funk, I've worked on all the domestics for 30 years. I will poke fun at all of them. Yeah, they've all got their issues. They've all got their stupid shit that designers have done, and some of the clever stuff the designers have done. Yeah, I agree, Paul. Paul Bruno, the 68 Galaxy 500, really nice, solid driver. They're a good driving car. They 68 Galaxy, they kind of had them. They were deep into the unibody at that point. They figured out what they needed to make them work. The Galaxy, that was a unibody, wasn't it? I think. Danny Boyd, Dan Gurney Special Cougar. Very nice. Very nice. Wow, that would be worth some dollars today. But yeah, going back to Paul Bruno's, the Galaxy 500, just a nice, big, comfortable, cruisy, reliable car. Morganizer, I paid $600 for my XA Falcon wagon. Wow. How long ago was that? And how rusty was it? They did go rusty, those things. Beagle Bob, the price of entry doesn't always mean too much. It's the completed price that we try to hide from our wives. Yes, indeed. Yes, if only they knew, huh? If only they knew. Tavo, timing. Back in the day, they were old cars. Bought the project in 2018. Oh, okay. Tavo, 4-barrel Pacer was $500. The CXC fully loaded 360 was $800 in the 80s. Wow. Morganized, it wasn't rusty, but it was mid-90s. Yeah. Okay, so that would have made it, close, like 20-odd years old. So, they weren't worth a lot then, were they? They weren't collectible like they are today. But I tell you what, don't sell that car. Don't sell that car because it's only going to go up in price. They're not making Falcons anymore. So what is Morganizer? What is that realistically worth? Approximately, in the Kiwi Australian market today, an XA wagon, I would think it would be worth a reasonable amount. Paul Bruno, full frame car. Okay, 65 to 68, full size is basically the same car. Okay. I was thinking they were unibody, but obviously not. So, but still, just a good, solid, like quite a simple car, like quite luxurious, but relatively simple too. Not loaded down with BS. Josh Homan, Galaxies, they were body on frame. Maybe I'm thinking of the Fairlanes. That's probably what I'm doing. Paul Bruno, yes, body on frame always. Right. Okay. I'm probably, I think I might have getting myself mixed up with the Fairlanes. Orlando Pockets. You could hold 2 baseball teams and the ump in a Galaxy 500. There you go. Whew. Oh, Tavo. My cheapest drive at home was an $80 EK Holden. To have that back today. Yes, indeed. EK. So what year was the EK? Was that... Because I know I can picture in my head the EH and the EJ. So which was the EK? Was that before or after? I'm actually, I'm not super up on that era of Holdens. I remember the EH was like in '64. I really liked the EH Holden back when I was like a teenager. It's like, those are cool. Morganizer, I really don't know what it would be worth now if I hadn't hit that power pole, but would have been over here in Alabama since '09, but have been over here in Alabama since '09. Wow, that's a shame it hit the power pole. Chris Messer, EK around here means Eastman Kodak. I remember Eastman colour. Were they bought out by Kodak? Were they? I remember there was a bit of a like a commercial war between Eastman and Kodak, but no doubt one bought the other out. Tavo 61. Okay, last of the old body with fins. I'm with you. Yep, I know the shape you mean. Lane Connolly, I like all cars. Main projects now are 63 Falcon convertible with the original 260 V8. Mate, well, I've got one of those. 63 and a half, as they call it, nickname it, with the 260. Yep. Got one sitting downstairs right now. Great little driver. You may have seen the video I did. I did a video on a long time ago on it. It's an awesome little car. 2 lady owners. Or previous to me having it. Now, what else have you got? 68 Valiant 2-door with a 383 big block. Wow. 82 Bronco, 351 Windsor. Would love to find a 53, 54 Studebaker Lowy coupe. I'm trying to think what that looks like. I can't think. David Tyree, cheapest XA on Trade Me is 35K. Oh my Lord. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy, isn't it? So is that a 35K? Is that a nice car or is that a rough one? What? Being as it's the cheapest. Snow Crusher, the Valiant was a Signet 200 2-door hardtop. Oh, nice. Nice. That would, with a 383, that'd be a cool car. Josh Homan hitting a power pole with a nice old car. That's a tough break. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it really is. It's yeah. So being a wagon, yeah, that yeah. Today it would have had to have been worth 40 grand, wouldn't it? Stephen Carter, sorry, late to class. Steak and fries in my way. Fair enough. Man's got to eat. A man has got to eat, brother. Chris Freemius, I'm in Kodak's HQ City. Eastman Chemicals was a division of Kodak, not a competitor. Oh, really? Huh. Oh, well, there you go. For some reason, I thought they were a competitor. That's such a long time ago. Like I was, in my teens when I'm talking about. You would go to the movie theaters, and some of them would, you'd see them come up Eastman color, and the film, the movie was shot with, using Eastman film, I guess. Orlando Pockets. I had a chance to buy a 63 Falcon V8 convertible in the 90s. Of course, I didn't do it. Of course, I regret it. LOL. Yeah, I'll bet. Tavo, just browsing Marketplace in Oz. XB Ute there for $1,000. That's not bad, is it? Like, that's really cheap, actually. How bad is it? Is that like a real cot case at that, or? It'd be hard to find one of those that wasn't rusty, though, wouldn't it? It'd be very hard. If it's not rusty, how rusty has it been before someone repaired it? David Tyree looks pretty good, really. Paul Bruno, Kiwi, are you going to get that 69 Continental Mark that's in that guy's collection? Did he sell everything? Look, I don't know what happened there, to be honest. It kind of the deal just kind of crumbled. I made him an offer on all 5 cars. I offered him what he was asking, and then suddenly he started backpedaling. And one of the relatives wanted the LS6 Chevelle, and then one of the other relatives wanted one of the Corvettes, and and it kind of just disintegrated the deal. And I haven't kind of been in contact with him for 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm sure somebody's got an LS6 Chevelle now, but it's not me, unfortunately. And the Continental, I don't. It was a weird one. I'll be honest. It was a weird one. I just don't know quite what was going on with them. I think there was family. Input coming from different family members, people, some of them saying they wanted it, one car and another one. I don't know. But there's nothing like money to bring out, those long lost relatives that have not been in the picture very much. And then suddenly somebody dies and they're all about it. Suddenly, they're all much more interested. So, short answer is no, I'm not the owner of a Continental, which is a shame. But, I got plenty to do anyway, so it's all good. Stephen Carter, I found the Hot Rod September 1959 Buick in a boat. I found one on eBay, $12.99. You, Stephen? Okay. Buick in a boat. Oh, that's with the Buick engine in the boat. Okay. I think that's what you're talking about. Chris Freemus, Eastman Color was just one of Kodak's cinema films. Okay. I don't know how I got that so wrong, but yeah, there you go. I guess that's how urban myths are created, isn't it? People's faulty memories of things. Tavo, in my mind, it's a parts car though. Looks all there, but too far gone. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, $1,000. Yeah, something. I mean, that's why I say to people, like, sometimes cars, if they were free, they'd be too expensive. You're probably realistically better off to look around, for a 10 grand Falcon Ute, and that's a lot better, and save yourself a bunch of time and money. Organised, it would be really fun to have any ute over here in the States. Yeah. I mean, I really like those 72 through 75 or 6 rancheros. I think they're a great looking ute, and pretty reasonably priced. The people kind of overlook them. Chris Freemasson, the Subaru Brat was sort of a ute. Just saw one today, actually, for the first time in forever. Yeah, they pop up on Facebook Marketplace every now and again around here, and then I saw a thing on YouTube came through, and it was like the top 5 or 10 or something worst cars ever, and like in the middle of the pack there was the Subaru Brat, and I thought, that's a bit harsh. That was not a bad little ute. I'm not sure why it made like top 10 worst cars of all time, especially when the Pacer was right there and amongst it, and some cars like that, and some weird European shit. But yeah, the Brat, I didn't really think did too much wrong. Very small bed, not a big ute by any means, but four-wheel drive, decent on gas, pretty simple. Not a car I would have called a lemon, but hey. Jeff Hutchins, the older I get, the less brand loyal I am. I've had the best luck with Ford electrical, Cummins and diesels, GM and transmissions, Mopar and gas engines, but okay with GMs, of course. That's just in Jim. Oh, very funny, yes. Mopar's having some engine problems, though. They're having some real engine problems. When you say Chevrolet's having a lot of engine problems at the moment. Tavo XCGS sedan, 302 4-speed, nice looking car for 44k. That'd be a nice to have. Yeah, 302 4-speed. Yeah, that's well, of course, yeah, they were Aussies and Kiwis have been a lot more manual transmission orientated than the Americans. Americans like the stick shifts. Not many people drive a stick shift anymore. I don't know what it's like back in New Zealand and Australia anymore. We've been away too long, but not many people drive stick shifts. David Tyree, XA front seat, bit rough, 6-cylinder. Okay. Oh, that's that $1,000 one. Chris Freemasson, all brands have their positives and negatives, even Toyota. You learn these things as you get older. Just buy whatever makes you happy. Yeah, well, I mean, it's all a compromise because there is no perfect car. Nobody's made the perfect car. If they had, they would have just blown the opposition away, and there'd just be one company making cars. Nobody makes a perfect car. You've always got to put up with something, some Achilles heel, some weak link, some lackluster aspect of the car. So, yeah, as you say, whatever makes you happy, and in that particular decade, Snow Crusher, the Kodak company was founded in 1892. Wow, succeeding a business established by George Eastman. Okay, in 1880. Oh, wow. There's a bit of history that I had no idea about. Interesting stuff. That's a long time ago, man. Jeff Hutchins, I like the Brat, but I've never owned one. So, yeah, I've never owned one. I've driven I owned the sedan version of the Brat, the 4-door sedan, all-wheel drive. Owned one of those for a little while, and not startling by any means. It didn't do anything especially well other than have a lot of traction and being all-wheel drive. And it was early days of all-wheel drive, as opposed to like everything else that was all-wheel drive, or really four-wheel drive, was kind of Toyota Land Cruiser-ish and Jeep, that sort of thing. Subaru were kind of one of the early ones to go into an all-wheel drive sedan or wagon or ute, as you say. But for the most part, four-wheel drives were, Land Cruiser, Jeeps, that kind of thing. So, it was... great if you lived on dirt roads. Great if you're in snowy conditions. But just not a bad little car. Tavo. The brat was called a Brumby down under. Tens of thousands of them, with many still surviving. Yeah, I'd forgotten the Brumby name, actually, Tavo. And it just reminded me, I mean, an ideal vehicle for Australia and New Zealand, really, when you think about it. Probably just pretty equal, really. New Zealand has got lots of hills and dirt roads and, places where you need all-wheel drive, and same with Aussie out in the outback. So, well suited to that market, possibly why they weren't so huge here in the States. You don't need all-wheel drive on the interstate, Organizer Chris Freemess, a good call, and the same goes for however you want to modify them. Yes, it's okay if you want to K-swap your Ferrari. Possibly not advisable, but if that's what you want to do. Jeff Hutchins, I'll take pretty much anyone's straight six. That's pretty fair. That's pretty accurate. The straight six. Most of the different manufacturers made bulletproof sixes, didn't they? Really, the Falcons, the Holdens, the Jeeps 6-cylinder, Chrysler kind of, just good, strong, reliable engines. Chris Freemere said, Tavo, I don't think the Brats sold all that well here. It's been a long time since they were on the... Oh, yeah, it's been a very long time. When did they... I think they're 1980 something, aren't they? Tavo, there we go. Hang on. Josh Holman, my family had a Subaru Brat for a little while. Yeah, I mean, they're around. Yep. K2 Hat, rust was a problem with all old Subaru vehicles in the northeast. Well, yeah. But didn't most cars have trouble with rust in the northeast? Or Subaru like more prone? Tavo, they were perfect for our market. 2 out of 3 farmers owned one. Yeah. Yeah, well, they were cheap. They were very plain. They were cheap and, almost, they've kind of almost been superseded now by the side-by-sides. They were small enough that you could, small enough that they weren't too big and big enough that they were still useful, Morganizer, you're saying the same as me, all vehicles in the northeast. Chris Freeman, and Toyota's having major engine problems as well. Yeah, I believe they've got a recall on like 60,000 engines that they're having to swap out here in the States. Anybody else see iDoCar's teardown of the turbo V6 they're putting in their trucks? They're all failing. Yeah, apparently. Now I haven't seen any videos, but a guy I know was telling me about it, and they're taking the bearings out of them, from what he was saying. Now they're having trouble with stuff being left in the oil galleries when they're making the cranks and finding its way out and screwing the bearings. At least that's what this guy was telling me. Charles Dalton, the brat had seats put in the bed to get around the chicken tax. America started in 1964 on imported pickup trucks. The chicken tax? Huh. No, so they stuck a bigger duty on them. Interesting. Tavo, good thing about those old Subarus, Kiwi, is they didn't do anything astonishingly well, but they could do everything. Yeah. Yep, I couldn't agree more. Chris Burton. Hello, mate. How you doing? I love Aussie cars. Well, yeah, a lot of people do. Sly Rider, low centre of gravity. Yeah, well, they were. Now, if you're talking about the brats, I assume you are. Yes, compared to Jeeps and Broncos and stuff like that. Yeah, much, much lower centre of gravity. Tavo, Jeff Hutchins. So you'd even consider an Aussie 265 Hemi 6-pack. They were, what an engine they were. Yeah, they were a great engine. Any of those 245, 265 Hemis, did they make a smaller one than the 245? Do I remember a 225 Hemi? Or am I just mixing that up with the slant six? I thought they had 3 of the 6-cylinder Hemis. 3 sizes, not 3 Hemis. Jeff Hutchins, I could probably handle that, yeah. They sound so good. That one that I ran into when I was back in New Zealand and did a video on it, the induction noise from that 6-pack 265 Hemi was fabulous. Sly Rider, yes, all cars, oil sprayed all of my cars. Yeah, honestly, that's one of the best rust-proof things you can put on cars that have to deal with salt is that just drown them in all your old engine oil once a year, before winter. I mean, not very environmentally friendly, strictly speaking, but neither's having to make more cars because they rusted away. So, yeah. All Japanese cars in the 80s and early 90s melted away like butter up here in the northeast. Yeah, I bet they did. Paulo 99, Tavo, you didn't really pick up an E34 for 500, did you? I'm not sure. Sure he'll answer. Here we go. Paul, sure did. Back in 84, had a slippery clutch. Dealer didn't want to warranty it. It was over $500, had to have 3-month warranty. So 500 it was. Wow. Wow. Yeah, what a deal. Sly Rider. The problem back then was that you could not see, it moved. You could not see, would not get paint protection. Okay. What you could not see would not get paint protection. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, but brain's working a little slow at the moment. Stephen Carter, overlap welds, no corrosion protection, lip and traps, guys in his studio. Yes. Yep. Chris Freeman, so I remember the Brat having those rearward facing seats. I've seen a couple of pictures of them when I've seen them for sale on Facebook Marketplace with that rearward facing seat in the back, but I had no idea it was to get around a duty. That's crazy. Jeff Hutchins used to see a lot of Brats, kind of wanted one in the early 90s, and there were quite a few around. No internet to make it easier, right? Yep. End of time. Hi from Canada. Hey, mate, welcome along. Good to have you here. Snow Crusher. Hyundai and Kia had same problem with crap in the crank oil galleries. Okay. Galleys, yeah. Tavo 215 was the small Hemi. That was it. Yeah, not 220, 215. Yep. Low compression, standard fuel, economy engine. And did they actually do much better on gas, or was it really just a way of trying to sell them? Because what I've always found is, when a car has less power, you've got your foot down further, and it's been my experience, they seem to use as much, if not more, gas. You have an overpowered car, you use a little tiny bit of throttle, and they can be surprisingly good on gas. Charles Dalton, short story on the chicken tax. Europe imposed tariffs on American chickens. What? Really? In retaliation, tariffs were placed on foreign pickups. The seats in the back deflected it from the tariff. Good Lord. I was trying to figure out the chicken tax, but now it makes sense. So thanks for clearing that up. But it's happening today, isn't it? With Donald and all his tariffs, and then there's counter tariffs and retaliation tariffs, and so history is repeating itself yet again. Pycross Burton E49 Charger, yes, yeah. Bring your if you want one of them, bring your big checkbook, like your oversized checkbook, because there was a bunch of zeros to fit in the dollar amount box. Jeez, those are high, really high. Slow rider goes in all unpainted surfaces. Yeah, well, if you douse it with enough oil, it creeps, and it'll get to the places where moisture and salt gets to. So, yeah, it really does work well. Can be a bit hard on your back then. I can just imagine parking that car after a week after you've sprayed it down with oil in your driveway, and then having the HOA screaming at you because your driveway looks a mess, and the wife screaming at you. But you got to do what you got to do, don't you? Otherwise, with all that salt, the cars just evaporate before your eyes. KG I gave up on the Northeast almost 7 years ago, moved to Florida. No more snow or rock salt on the roads. No, exactly. A little bit of salt in the air, but hey, there's always something, isn't there? Paulo 99, 500 might get you the manifold these days. This is true. Tavo, exactly, and 2K for the fuel tank? Holy moly. 3K for the gearbox. Wow. 2K for the fuel tank. That's crazy. Tavo, the 215 could get better economy driven right, being under square. Torque came in at lower revs. Okay. Could be driven. Okay. But as soon as you started to push it, it was not much difference, I'm guessing. Tavo, not expensive, Kiwi. Oh, really? You could pick up a genuine E49 for 120 Ks. That example would need some work, though. There you go. Phew. Wow. Yeah, and the thing is, too, I mean, if it's 120K and it needs some work, like the work that it needs is not going to be $500 work, is it? I'm guessing, but that would be my take on it. That whatever it needs doing is going to be that expensive stuff that needs doing. Chris Freeman, I use fluid film to undercoat our cars, lanolin base, so for a week or two afterwards the cars smell like wet wool. And that's a smell all of its own, isn't it? Sheep oil, snow crusher, fluid film, lanolin base, corrosion spray, sheep oil. Yeah, fish oil was very popular in New Zealand, and then your cars smell like fish for a couple of weeks. So I don't know which is worse, really. Jeff Hutchins, Jimmy Carter chicken tax. The rear seats made it a passenger vehicle instead of a truck. Isn't that crazy? That was not a passenger vehicle. It was a truck with like a rumble seat. But, you know, if it got it past the establishment, then so be it. Lane Conley, in coastal Florida, the cars rust from the top down. Yeah, this is true. Tavo, where else could you spend $3,000 on a 3-speed manual box but Oz? Fuel tank was a 35 imperial gallon. Far out, 42 US gallon behind the back seat. Whew. 42 gallon. Wow. That's massive. Well, my Dodge Ram that I had a couple of years ago, I had for a long time, but I sold it a couple of years back. That was the 6.7 diesel, and that had a 34-gallon tank. And that took that even here, that was expensive to fill. So, God, I can't imagine in Australia or New Zealand filling a 42-gallon tank. That's wild. Jeez, and obviously that was for racing, right? So they didn't have to do as many pit stops. But 42 gallons, man, that would make the car handle differently, wouldn't it? And a car that size, putting that much weight, that would make it handle like really different. You know, between full and empty. Stephen Carter, best compact car was the 86 bi-turbo wagon. I was a drive tech for warranty. I got one for 3 weeks. A beast. Yeah, they were. Yeah, that was a pretty cool car. Chris Burton, my cousin just had a 67 Camaro convertible restored. Car was originally marina blue. Now it's this awesome shade of red. Nice. So what did he pay to have that restored? I bet that cost him a few bucks. Beagle Bob, the chicken tax evasion sounds like the same reason all the modern trucks have 4 doors and 5-foot beds. I see where you're going with that, Beagle. Don't know. I think that's just my take on it would be that you might be right, but my take would be that people just want a truck with 4 doors, and they're not that worried about a big bed anymore. The trucks have become crossover vehicles, really. I mean, you can still buy the 2-door 8-foot beds, but not with they're usually the economy version of the truck. The bare bones basics, real tradesman's kind of trucks. But no, I think it's interesting point though, Beagle, whether it's about avoiding taxes or whether they just these wealthy construction type people that want a truck every now and again but want that 4-door 5-seater luxury. Beagle Bob, okay, passenger space is used to calculate efficiency. They want to avoid gas guzzler tech. Oh, okay. And there you go. I wasn't aware of that. K2 Hat, I'm about 4 miles from the ocean. Yes, I've seen rusty stainless steel near the beaches. Yeah. Yep. Oh, salt is so corrosive. I mean, it salt eats up concrete. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't rust, but I mean, it breaks it. The salt will break concrete down. So it's very, very corrosive. But yeah, stainless steel, it has a certain amount of steel in it or iron in it. So yeah, stainless steel, depending on the quality of it, really high grade stainless doesn't typically go rusty, but anything that's not, the at the better end of the scale, can go rusty for sure, especially near the ocean. Paul Funk, I believe there is still a tariff going back to the 60s against Japanese full-size vans, and that's why you can't buy one here in the States. Huh. Didn't know that. No, you certainly don't see them. They're prolific around like Australia, New Zealand, Europe. The Japanese full-size vans are just like everywhere. But no, we call them forward control vans because you sit basically on top of the front wheels as a driver, and the engine sits in between the driver and the passenger. But very, very functional vans, like tons of room in them for the outside size. Very, very effective for size, for cubic capacity inside those vans. But yeah, not the safest things to drive in a collision. You don't want to be in a forward control van and hit something head on because you probably won't survive. Tavo would handle like having 3 fat people in the back seat. Yep, that sounds about right. Stephen Carter Subaru rocks. Okay. Hi, Chris Burton. It did, Kiwi. Thing was roached except for the floors. Crazy, isn't it? Yeah, go and buy a northeastern car and bring it back and make one out of the two. But why would you bother? Josh Homans, Americans want big trucks provided. Well, here's the thing that gets me. Like when we first came here, lived in Texas and lived in Austin, and virtually none of the houses that were around, and we looked around quite a few parts of Austin, and none of the garages were big enough for people's trucks. And Texas has one of the highest per capita truck ownership of any state in the country. And yet here in Texas, they weren't building the houses with big enough garages. It wasn't until we moved up, with my truck, which, was a mid cab, but it was only the short bed. It was not until we moved up here into Tennessee that I was ever able to put my truck in the garage. It's... Americans do want big, but it struck me as being weird that they didn't build their houses or their garages for their houses big enough to put a truck in it. Seemed very odd. Tavo, the big tank and the charger body actually improved things. Wow. They were a bit too light in the rear. Okay. Paul Funk, I would buy a full-size Toyota van in a heartbeat. Yeah, they're great vans. They really are. They're great vans. All the latest ones, they all have a hood, like a full front on them. The engine is actually out in front of the driver. and that was a safety thing. They basically, after enough, they got away with it for years, not having to comply with any of the safety standards with the crash testing and stuff for frontal impact, because they were commercial and they dodged the bullet, so to speak, by being commercial. But eventually it caught up with them, and all those full-size Japanese vans now have they have the door, in front, the windshield comes down, door comes down, and they have a full front on them, like a sedan. They have a front fender that sticks out in front of the A-pillar. And it's really just to put that engine and transmission and fenders and stuff between you and the car you hit. And that's how they got them to be able to pass the frontal impact. design requirements. But yeah, those flat-fronted forward control vans are a thing of the past now, which is a shame because they were great vans. Andy Nicol, hey, welcome along, man. Better late than never. Well, yeah, as long as you're here, mate, that's the main thing. It looks like you're feeling better. I am better. I'm not right. If you keep listening, you'll hear me coughing. I've been coughing for the last hour. Not badly, but enough, like it's just there. Doing all this talking is just tickling the throat a little bit. So, yeah, I'm still not 100%, but I'm probably 85, and that'll do for now. Chris Freeman, not all of us Yanks want a big vehicle. No, that's very true. It's a mistake that a lot of people make. I believe, non-Americans make, shall we say, that you start talking about America, and America is this, and America is that, and Americans like, X and Y, and Americans like A and B, but it's such a massive, massive country with a massive amount of people that you can't just put the whole country in a box and say, all Americans like apple pie. Well, that's an awful lot of people. All Americans like a certain type of car. You can't talk in absolutes. A country like New Zealand with its 5 million people, it's a lot easier to say that all Kiwis like, X, Y. Because there's only 5 million of us. But to say that all 340 million Americans, they all like the one thing, it's just not accurate. It's just not even close, really. And that's one thing I found traveling around the States was that it really, in my opinion, and it's not meant to be any kind of a slight at all on the country, but I do believe the United States of America is like 50 countries all under the one heading or the one name title, because the states are all quite different. The states are this. It's kind of a bit like, in my mind, it's a bit like Europe. You've got a lot of countries, like a big area, but a lot of little countries, and they're all different. But you come to the States and you drive from one state to the other, and suddenly you break into a law that wasn't, that didn't exist like a mile back before you cross the state line. And there's just lots of differences. So, I understand what you're saying, Chris. Not all of us Yanks, and you're not all Yanks for one thing too. You're not all Yankees, but that is a nickname that you've acquired over the years. But no, not all of you do, and it's quite refreshing to see the number of tuna people that are here in the States, and how loved the little Japanese cars are here, and getting tuned. I guess is their version of hot rodded. There's. Don't ever say America is all of America is like this, because all of America is not the same at all. Jeff Hutchins, up until the late 60s, most families didn't even have a truck. Then by the mid 70s, it was common to have one truck and one car, almost always a standard cab, sometimes an extended cab, now all crew cab. Yep, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like my F100, my 74, if you can find a crew cab of that, they're like really desirable because they're rare as rocking horse shit. Like you can't find them. They're all single cabs, and the only difference is long bed, short bed, and they were nearly all long, not nearly all, but the majority were long bed. As you say, it's all crew cabs with short beds now. So, I mean, the market's just changed. What people require from their daily, weekly, monthly routines is just not the same as it was in the 70s. That's just how it is. Andy Nichols, Swiss cheese is looking good. Yeah, she's coming together. I worked on her a bit again today. Got that fender all rolled around, and got a lot of welding on that quarter finished. I'm going to dig in. I've got a couple of other things to get done this week, but dig in and get that filler panel between the trunk lid and the back window replaced, and keep moving on. We were having a talking with me and Steve. Were discussing that car. I think it was yesterday, and the only outer panel on that car that's not getting replaced is the roof skin. That's the one panel that's not getting replaced. Gary Pritchard, when are you going home to get out of that sick and deranged country? We're kind of flirting with politics there, Gary. I do hear what you're saying. I tell you what, all the feedback I'm receiving from New Zealand is not. It's not all rainbows and unicorns down there either. But hey, there's. I don't think it's fair to point the finger at the States. The whole world's like a bit of a mess, to be honest. There's some shit going on wherever you bloody look. But that's politics. And we're all about cars. So, but I get what you're saying, Gary. Let's see. Lane Connolly, Ford installed windows and seats in the Transit Connect, removed them once imported, and sent them back to Europe to be reinstalled to avoid the tariff. Seriously? Wow. You wouldn't think it'd be worth shipping. Good Lord, for the price of glass at their cost. Yep. What we'll do to save a few bucks, eh? Pycross Burton, when I was a kid, there was an abandoned house that had a 69 Buick LeSabre 400 with the Buick 340 sitting in the driveway. There's a few stories around like that around for sure. I mean, you still see that kind of thing now. Someone's got a Buick Grand National, not far away, like 15 minutes away from my shop. Sitting in the driveway. It's been sitting there. It clearly doesn't run. It's kind of covered up a bit sometimes and not covered at other times, and it just never moves. And Steve and I were talking about it, and it's like, Steve's like, I should go and try and buy that, and it's like, we could go there and say, hey, is it for sale? And I almost guarantee you we'd be the 30th or 40th people that have stopped and say, hey, do you want to sell it? If he wanted to sell it, it wouldn't still be sitting there after 5 or 6 years. Because if you see it, it's not, and it's not like on some back road where nobody ever drives except a local. So, like people drive up and down that road. People have seen it. I said to Steve, you can go and ask him, but I guarantee you it's not for sale. Tavo, newer Hiaces are more like the Transit van now. Yeah, exactly. Paul Funk, I like key lime pie. Mate, you and me both. I love me a good key lime pie. Yep, I agree, 100%. Tavo, like saying all Kiwis like lamb roast. Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly, yeah. Yep. Paul Funk, and I don't drink coffee. Okay. Andy Nickel, I read somewhere that bourbon is a good cough suppressor. Well, yeah, this one's like I'm trying. It doesn't actually seem to be stopping it, but maybe I just haven't drunk enough yet. But yeah, the talking and the breathing is definitely cough on cue. It's I'll keep at it, but it doesn't really seem to be helping, no. Snow Crusher, the ununited states, LOL. Yeah. Chris Freemus, I used Yanks for the benefit of our friends in Oz and New Zealand. Yeah, honestly, I get it, Chris, I do. And a lot of Europe and New Zealand, Australia, like when they say Yank, they just mean an American, and I didn't know the whole Yankees and Confederates and the Mason-Dixon line and all that sort of stuff is really, there's a lot of people aren't aware of that, and I really wasn't, or if I had been made aware of it at school, I'd long since forgotten. But yeah, so Yanks is it's not meant to be derogatory, really, but it's not very accurate. You can't be calling all Americans Yanks or Yankees. Because the Yankees might not mind, but some of the Northerners would not be quite so. Northerners, Southerners, yeah. That always threw me too. The old Mason-Dixon line, the North and the South is this diagonal line across America. Because being a Kiwi, we have North and South, but it's an island, so it's effectively a horizontal line. Between, you've got your North Islanders and your South Islanders, and the line is drawn between the two islands horizontally. But here in the good old US of A, that southern and northern line is literally a 45-degree angle. Well, not literally, but approximately a 45-degree line across the country. So you can actually have northerners that live further south than southerners. Confuses me, but hey. I'm not that hard to confuse, so Jeff Hutchins, I know quite a few people that are alive today because of their big American vehicle. Oh, this is true. Yeah. It's horses for courses. I was talking with a buddy of mine, Doug, the other day, and we were talking about small cars and how Americans really don't. American, in my opinion, have never really made a really good small car. It's not their strong point. But they're catering to their audience. They're catering to their consumer. And big American vehicles are ideal in America. You've got some of the fantastic interstates and roading and roads and highways, in the world. And, you don't need to be bouncing along in a little wee car when you've got, 4-lane highway going one direction and 4 lanes coming back the other way. There's room to have a nice big cruisy car that, you just, you aim it at the next state and you go, So, yeah, people that criticize America for not being strong on small cars are they're not really being fair and objective. The European cars in Australia and New Zealand, where they had very expensive gas, very narrow, windy up and down roads, you needed a little, small, nimble, agile car to deal with the conditions. And, American cars didn't do well in those conditions. But, you bring a little wee 850cc Fiat something over to America and it doesn't do well on the interstates, So it's, if a big American car runs over a small, European car, it doesn't end well for the people in the European car. It's but I'm a little biased. I love a huge tank. And I would drive one in New Zealand. I had a couple in New Zealand. Big tank, big Buick Electras and stuff like that, and they were just really not well suited to the New Zealand conditions. But to hell with it, I loved them. So, but the Europeans, Japanese are very good at small cars. Americans very good at big cars, and you play to what the audience wants, and that's what they wanted. All right, Lane Connolly. When I was young, guys didn't want to be caught dead driving a 4-door. Nowadays, the young men don't care. Yeah. Yep, some truth to that. No, there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah. Yeah, times are changing, you know. It's a while ago since we were young, buddy. You know, that's the thing you got to remember. It's been a while. Tavo, hey Kiwi, have you seen Buff Del Campo's current project? No. Might interest you a bit. Some sheet metal work going on. Okay, Buff Del Campo. What's he working on, Tavo? What have we got? Yeah, Stephen Carter. Thanks, mate. Much love. Heal up. Thank you. I'm trying. Jeff Hutchins. Yeah, when I was a kid, 4 doors were for dorks. Now I think they might be a good idea. Yeah, it's funny how times change, isn't it? Funny how times change. I tell you what, one of the coolest 4 doors I've seen around in real life, I'm not just talking pictures on the internet, but is Steve's Oldsmobile. That old's 98 that he's got. 4-door hardtop. Awesome car. I must admit, if I was going to have a 4-door, I'd really like it to be a hardtop. They just have a cooler look than a 4-door sedan or 4-door post car. But yeah, that Steve's car is, and I've actually seen his same car in a 2-door. And maybe it's just me, but I think I like the 4-door better. I really do. There's something about the lines of it. The 2 doors, not quite right. Not bad, but it's not quite right. But yeah, it's interesting. I do think we change, we evolve, don't we, as people? So yeah. Snow Crusher, is key lime pie made from kiwis? No, mate, that would be a kiwi pie. Key lime is literally, as per the name, limes from Key West or Key Largo or somewhere around there. But yeah, we have a very similar pie in New Zealand that is a very popular dish called lemon meringue pie. And that's got a really strong citrus lemon kind of filling in it, similar to the lime. That's one of my favourites for sure. Now, Tavo, you're definitely pouring that down too slowly, Kiwi. I've just had to reload my Scotch glass and it's lunchtime here. Well, there you go. You're obviously a much more seasoned campaigner than I. I'm just an amateur trying to kind of live up to these high Australian standards. So, yeah. But I am actually, I think I'm going to have to break out another one because that's like my last slip. So I might have to step away briefly and get a little topper. Pycris Burton, when I was younger, my dad had a 76 Ford Gran Torino. They were a cool car. And they're a car that, we were talking about the price of cars earlier, and like that's a car that's flying under the radar, in my opinion, those Gran Torinos. They're a muscle car, you get the right engine combo in it, and they're a muscle car, but they don't fetch the money. So, they're pretty good buying. You get a fair bit of bang for your buck, You look around, you find a 429 one, and, you got a whole lot of car for a fraction of what it would cost you for a 429 Mustang, a 428 Mustang. So, really, not bad. Case you had, get some extra rest, stay healthy. I'm an old fart and headed to bed. Yeah. Mate, I tell you what, I've got about 30 minutes and that's where I'm heading. I'll tell you that much now. There won't be any sitting up and watching TV. I'll be, I'm heading for the hills at exactly 9 o'clock. So, not that I don't want to be here, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's catching up a little. I've been in bed the last couple of weeks. 7 o'clock was not, was like, I'm out. I'm going to bed. Because I was sick. It's not 7 o'clock's not my normal bedtime, but 9 o'clock is This will be, given the last 3 weeks, this will be a late night. What are we? Tavo, known here as Seppos. There you go. Yeah, gosh, that's a phrase I haven't, or term I haven't heard for a long time. Chris Burton, I wish we got the British Ford Escort in the States. Mate, that was a, the Mark 1 Escort was, in my opinion, one of the best cars to ever come out of Britain. It was a superb little car. And the Mark IIs were as well. The Mark 1 was just a little further ahead of its time. But yeah, an absolutely superb little car. You have to drive one to really appreciate how good they were. But they're making brand new reproduction body shells over in England for those now, Mark 1s and 2s. You can buy them brand new, much like the Mustang and Camaro bodies that you can buy here now. That's how popular they are, though. I used to rally one of those, and the Mark 1 Escort was probably one of the most popular rally cars. And they were just, the number of those that I saw destroyed on the rally circuit, and you just go out and you just pick up a newspaper, and because it's pre-internet, pick up a newspaper and you'd have another Escort to reshell or rebuild your rally car that you just totaled, within a couple of days. And cheap. Not anymore. Not anymore. You pay a lot of money for a Mark 1 or 2 Escort. So, yeah, I'm right there with you, Chris. Hang on. Yep. Oh, what's going on here? Hang on, I've messed up my messages. What have I done? Stay with me, guys. I don't know what I've done. Gary Pritchard, you certainly ain't had to confuse Kiwi. You love Mustang. I do. Yeah, and it's not like that's been a lifelong thing or anything like that. I think I've told the story here, but I may be repeating myself for some of you guys. But when I opened my shop, I had literally nothing to do. I had a shop, I had tools, I had some skills, and nothing to work on. So I went out looking for a project and stumbled on an $850 Mustang, which became the KSV 9000. And if it had been a Camaro that I'd stumbled on, probably wouldn't have been quite that cheap. But if it had been a Camaro, I probably would be the Camaro guy now, because that Mustang just attracted so many other Mustangs. And the rest is kind of history. Beagle Bob, the country needs to be able to pack the car enough to drive 4 or 5 days. That would get you far enough to see an ocean. Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, you're not wrong there, Beagle. You're really not wrong there. Not wrong at all, mate. It's a big place. It's a big place. David Torrey, when did you last look at a map of New Zealand, the separation between the North and South Islanders and diagonal? Well, yeah. I guess you're right. They do overlap slightly. They do, but well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's not. I guess what I was really trying to say was it's not hard to figure out, which is the North and which is the South. When you look at the map of the US, it's harder to kind of figure out unless you know, which is the North and which is the South. Like, the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere are separated by a horizontal line. And I mistakenly, I give you that, thought America was like that. The North and the South was pretty much around that halfway horizontal mark. It most certainly is not. Okay. I'm not even going to try and say that. That looks Russian or something. Who have we got there? I have no idea how to say that or to read what he said there. That's a couple of minutes ago. No, don't know how to say that. And he's just said no. Okay. Right. I mean, it's awesome to have someone, I think, from Russia listening, watching, but not quite sure what you're saying there, but I'm sorry. Jeff Hutchins, my mum's family is from Oklahoma. A ton of them came to Oregon during the Dust Bowl. She says I was 12 years old for I knew damn and Yankee was two words. Oh, good Lord. Really? Oh, and our Russian friend is saying something again. I don't know how to translate that. Anyone else have any ideas on what he's saying? Begins with a K, got a capital M in there, but the rest I'm not sure. Wow. Tavo, Buffer's working on a 72 Valiant in a big way. Okay. Oh, he's converting a Valiant into a Ute? Oh, wow. Pycris Burton, I like a four-door sedan. Mate, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, yeah, more power to you. Like, people like what they like, you know. You're not wrong. You certainly shouldn't feel bad about liking a four-door sedan. That's what you like, and that's awesome. Yeah, honestly, I would have. I mean, when I was young and stupid, I really didn't like the Australian four-door sedans, the Falcons, the Holdens, even Falcon GT to me was like a GT four-door sedan, didn't add up to me. Mate, I would have one in a heartbeat now. So, yeah, things change, people change, and if that's what you like, that's awesome. I still, and it's a hangover from my younger days, I still do like a two-door, and I'm appreciating more and more the four doors, but like I said a minute ago, I like the four-door hardtop. So, yeah, give me another 5 years, it might be different. Who knows? Granddad's Junk. G'day, Kiwi Brotherhood. How's it going? Feeling better. I am feeling a little bit better. I'm not 100%, but I'm surviving, and I'm here. I've made it through an hour and 40 of the live, so bit of coughing along the way. So I hope that's not too irritating for you guys, but I'm doing my best. But yeah, Granddad's Junk. Wanted to say, I'll say here in the live stream, Granddad's Junk has sent to my in-laws a huge slab of Remu for the dashboard of the Sunbeam Alpine, and hopefully that's going to be on its way to me in the next few days or by the end of the week when the in-laws are coming over here. But he's milled a Remu tree, which is a native tree in New Zealand, it's beautiful, beautiful timber, and he has sent me a huge ass piece of it to make this dash. It's probably enough there to make two dashes actually, but yeah, it's going to be a real feature of the little Alpine. The Sunbeam Tiger had I think it was an oak or a walnut or something like that dash in it. Well, this one's going to have a Remu one. And yeah, so I'm very grateful to you, Granddad, for that. What you did was awesome. So I appreciate it very much. But yeah, as you say, fashionably, as Chris Freemesh says, fashionably late. Well, that's all right. He's probably been busy cutting down trees or working on his twin turbo 53 Ford or all the other strange goings on down there in the South Island of New Zealand. Yeah. But yeah, and he's actually sent me a very valuable piece of timber free of charge, which is awesome. So I really do appreciate it, Grandad. It's very, very generous of you, and I think it's very cool. Mrs. Kiwi is just like blown away. She's very excited about it. So because she is. She's very much all about anything Kiwi, and to have that in her little car is a big, I think I'll get sick of hearing the story about how that dad, whoever stops long enough is going to hear the story about how her dashboard's made of, New Zealand timber. So bit of fun, bit of humour. Tavo, I spent half an hour trying to decide between a 68 Dodge Phoenix hardtop Aussie-built Fury 383 or a very tidy VG Valiant Regal at the same price. I settled on the VG for some reason. That would have been a tough. That would have been a tough call. The VG Valiant Regal would be worth more today than the Dodge Phoenix, I would say. In Aussie anyway. But yeah. Beagle Bob, lemon meringue can be found in the States. Yes, it can. You're right. Yeah, what do we got here? Jeff Hutchins, just do roadkill thing and call your four-door vintage car a crew cab, and it's cool again. AKA crew cab Chevelle. That's funny. It's funny. Chavo, Granddad's junk, warming up here, finally getting a few days of summer. Man, it's getting colder here, I tell you that. But yeah, you better get out there and work on your car, Chavo, because you're going to be too hot out there soon. Jeff Hutchins, I have a 90. Shot up the page again. Damn it. There we go. Jeff Hutchins, I have a 98 BMW 328i. It definitely looks better as a four-door. I don't know how they did it, but they did. Well, there you go. Tell you what, 98, that's a lot newer, but I really love that old, the first of the M3s, the little BMW 3 Series, the M3, which I think I fell in love with them when they were racing them in touring cars. A fabulous car. Granddad's junk, I bought a Mark 1 Escort and drove it home for $30. Good grief, when was that? That's cheap. Chris Burton, years ago, I almost bought an MGB GT. I had an MGB Roadster when I was about 18, something like that. Rusty old thing it was. Patched it up, kind of got it to warranty fitness standards, and but yeah, quite a neat little car. Quite a neat little car. And based on a Morris Oxford, if anyone knows what one of those looks like. Granddad's junk probably knows what one looks like. But an MGB was, strictly speaking, a Morris Oxford Roadster. It was same engine, a little bit bigger, a bored-out version of the same engine. I think the Morris Oxford was like 1600cc and the MGB was 1800. So it was a slightly bored-out motor, same transmission, same rear axle, same front suspension, rear suspension, but they just put a little sports car body on. And it actually wasn't bad. Gary Pritchard, you can't build a rally Escort in 2 days. That's any good. You should know that. Yeah. No, I said you could buy one in a couple of days. It wouldn't take you long to find one, is what I was saying. Not to build it. Goodness me, no. I most certainly do know that. No, that wasn't what I maybe didn't explain myself very well. But no, I was meaning it would take, that was just so common, is what I was trying to say, that it would take you a couple of days, to find a replacement for the one you just screwed, wrapped around a tree in a rally, because they were just all over the place and very affordable. But those days are gone. No, try. No, it takes a lot longer than 2 days. If you had several mates helping you, you might do it in a month or 6 weeks. But that would be a lot of weekends and very late nights. Granddad's junk. We just don't. Big Islanders can stay up there. Oh, nice. David Tyree, the North and the mainland. Yeah, mainlanders. Well, that's what we call. That's what us Northerners call the Southerners, as the mainlanders. Chris Freeman. Honestly, some states here are half Northern and half Southern, and I'm looking at you, Ohio and Pennsylvania. There you go. Lane Conley, the Deep South in the US is more Virginia, not Florida. Yeah, exactly. And like, as an outsider or a foreigner or whatever you want to call me, that was really weird. That was like, what, how? Just confusing as all get out. Granddad's junk, the windmill is up and running. Oh, very cool. You going to video that, mate? Not sure what Chris Freemesser is saying there. I missed that. That's gone over my head, that one, Mr. Freemesser. Beagle Bob, can't really characterise the US as north and south, though. There is a northeast, south, midwest, southwest, western mountain. It's all too, and California, all on its own. Hey, I'm going to have to get a little more cough medicine. So just give me 30 seconds, guys. It won't be long. Oh, try not to drag the computer off the table. Talk amongst yourselves, guys. Which you do anyway, so it's all good. I'm back. He likes the shirt. It seems fairly accurate. I'm probably a health menace at the moment, if nothing else. Anyway, cheers, guys. Strictly medicinal purposes. Now, where were we? Beagle Bob. That's way too much to remember. Like north, south, midwest, south. Too much. My brain has not enough memory available for that. Chris Freemesser and Texas, because they're special. Texas is Texas, isn't it? I mean, that's you got to celebrate the differences. I think like Texas is. What is it? How do you explain Texas? It's very parochial. That's been my experience. Okay, so this is one man's experience of Texas. I did live there for a little while, but if you're not Texas born, then I was going to say an outsider. That's a little hard. That's not quite accurate either. But Texans do respect Texans, and they don't have as much respect for non-Texans, shall we say. But yeah, Texas they're very, very proud of Texas. I mean, if one of the states is going to secede, you have to think that Texas might well be it. Granddad's junk, she doesn't like being involved in video. Hey, Granddad, Mrs. K is exactly the same. I remember she helped me do the video of my Mustang, and a couple of you guys noticed her reflection in the paintwork, and she's like, "Oh, she didn't want to be seen in the reflection." Don't ask me why. I have no idea. But yeah, They're funny like that, but I'm sure you understand, Grandad's Joe. Hi, Chris Burton, Kiwi. To me, the XB Falcon coupe looks like a Torino with a Mustang front clip. Yeah, it's a lot of Americans think that Mad Max Falcon was a Torino. I've been told that or asked that many times from customers and the like. But no, it does. You can see the DNA. There's some sharing of DNA between Ford America and Ford Australia. There absolutely is. And the years didn't necessarily coincide all the time, but no, that XAXBC Falcon is definitely shades of a Torino. Jeff Hutchins, the 3 West Coast states are split weird politically and geographically. California, North and South, Oregon and Washington are split east and west. One side is nothing like the other. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. America's huge, and there's all types of everything going on in the States. So I was probably in the first 6 months, of traveling around here in the States that I started generalizing about America and say America is this and America's, this, that, or the other, because it's you go from one corner to the other, and it's really like being in a different country. It really is. Yeah. Paul Funk. I've heard that a menthol cigarette will help with your cough. Oh, good Lord. Brother, I am not. I appreciate the thought, but I'm not going to try that. The thought, honestly, I mean, I'm not a smoker anyway. I never have been. Which was not through any, holier than thou, mentality about dislike of smokers. It's just never worked for me. It's just never appealed, but anyway, that would be brutally harsh. I've smoked a couple of other things other than menthol cigarettes over the years, but it's hard on the throat. Like, how my throat feels at the moment, the thought of a cigarette would be like, that would no. Thanks for the thought, but no thanks. Sorry, mate. That sounds brutal. Chris Freemasson, will you be doing the woodworking yourself? Are you going to farm that out to a pro woodworker? Probably yes. Honestly, hang on. Shoot, I've lost it here. Hang on, guys. Hold on, mate. Hold on. Here we go. Chris Freemasson. Sorry, yeah. Get myself back on track. I'm probably going to farm out the woodworking. I'll mark it out exactly how I want it. Gauge holes, wires, and switch holes for switches and stuff like that. I'll get it all marked out. But look, if it was just a piece of pine that I could nip down to Home Depot or like Bunnings or whatever, a woodwork, home building supply place and get some Remu, then it would be different. I probably would give it a try. I like to try new stuff, but given the piece of timber, how it's come into our possession, through Grandad's junk and stuff like that, I don't want to screw it up. I really don't. So yeah, probably I'll mark it out, get it exactly how I want it, and then get someone with the right equipment, because I'd be just doing it with my, trying to cut it out with a jigsaw, and that's probably not the wisest choice, So yeah, definitely going to farm it out. I don't no idea who to, but I'll figure that out when the time comes. Granddad's junk, no worries, brother. Glad to help. Hey, I can't really say enough. It's awesome. I mean, I don't really know what that piece of timber is worth, but I know it's significant. That's it's 2 meters, so that's like 6'6" piece, and it's a foot wide, and it's an inch and a quarter thick. So it's a big chunk of Rimu. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Granddad's junk, you can't buy Rimu that size. It's all recycled house or demo stuff. No, exactly. So, it's very cool. So I'm going to put it in the hands of a professional, and it's not quite unobtainium, but it's hidden that way, Granddad's junk was 20 years ago. Oh, the Escort. Yeah, that's crazy. Granddad's junk, I put a 1600 cross flow and twin 2-barrel Delordos. Yeah. Had Delordos on a rally car of mine. Steve Sadusky. Hey, Kiwi and group. Mate, you do know it's 8:56, right? Steve Sadusky just got back from the garage. Okay, well then, all right. We'll let it slide. We'll let it slide if you're in the garage. If you were in the other room watching the Housewives of Beverly Hills, then we probably have to ban you from the live stream. But hey, you were in the garage, so it's all good. Tavo, I thought the mainland was otherwise known as the West Island. I think all of New Zealand's hang on. Which is the West Island? Isn't that Tasmania? I don't know. I'm confused. Too much bourbon. Steve Sadusky, how come Kev is running around wild in the background? He is? Where? Not my background. Yes. Chris Freeman, Texas used to be their own country, and sometimes they act like they still are. Yeah, well, that's right. They were one of the later ones to the Union, United States of America. So, and there's some deal with their flag too, isn't there? They're one of the only states that are allowed to fly their state flag at the same height as the United States flag. Is that right? Have I got that right, or have I screwed that up? There's some little difference with the flag, and it's all to do with it, as I've been told, rightly or wrongly. It's all to do with Texas being very, very proud of Texas. Lane Connolly, I thought you needed honey in your bourbon to make it into cough syrup. Well, now you might be onto something there. Paul Funk, Texas has the worst drivers, and I wish they would stay out of Colo. What the heck is Colo? Texas tried to secede one time. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. Jeff Hutchins, Texas was its own country at one time. Yeah, it was. Absolutely. Yep. Hang on. Tavo, XAB four-door sedan had a spattering of Maverick in the mix too. Yeah. Yeah. It would be fascinating. I mean, somebody probably knows, but I wonder. I've often wondered whether the Australian designers would look at what the American stuff would do, like look at pictures of, what the different models that Ford America had, and thought to themselves, that's a good idea, or that's I like this, or I like that about it, or whether they actually had access to blueprints, design specs, and stuff like that, and dimensions and stuff like that. I don't know how close they were, and it would, for me, that would be quite interesting, whether they just borrowed visually from pictures, which are kind of public property almost, or whether they actually had an inside line to the design studios in the States, or vice versa, for that matter. I could well have, the information flow could easily have been both ways. Greenhead's junk's almost as bad as saying New Zealand is part of Aussie. Blasphemy at the highest level. Yeah, well, hey, there was some talk of making Canada just another state of America there at one point by one of our political people who shall remain nameless. Paul Funk, I'm just joking about the cigarettes. It's what my dad always used to say, and he was a smoker. Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, I couldn't help but smile because it's like, oh my goodness, like that sounds like inhaling 80 grit sandpaper. Like, oh. Jeff Hutchins, smoking definitely can help with a sore throat. Not telling anyone to try it, but it does work. Seriously? Really? David Tyree, woodworking is not that hard. No, look, I don't. I mean, it's just a different medium, isn't it? From steel. So there's obviously some intricacies of wood, but some of us not having the right tools, routers and whatever else you might need. Like a good bandsaw, I think will be the shape of the dash. The dash is flat. There's nothing particularly hard about the shape of the dash because it's just flat, but it does, and the bottom edge is straight line, but the top has got a curve in it, with some, on the outside edges it gets a little busy, and then, there's a glove box hole you've got to get there in the right spot, and it's, I don't think it would be that hard, and if it was a more mainstream piece, if I just chosen some, as I say, a piece of timber that you can get down to the local timber yard, then I'd have a crack at it, and if I screwed it up, I'd know what I did wrong, and I could go and get another piece and do it right. But you can't do that with this Remu that Grandad's Junk sent me. So. Chris Freemasser, woodworking has been a hobby of mine for over 20 years. It can be very challenging. Oh, I'm sure. Look, I've said here on these lives that one of the things I would love to do is build an old mahogany boat, and that's woodworking. That's throwing yourself in the deep end of woodworking, and I would definitely give it a crack, but that's, mahogany, and if I'd screw a piece of it up, well, I'd just go and get another piece, But this Remu that I'm talking about for the Kiwis and Aussies may know, the Kiwis will definitely know here, but it's a native timber, native to New Zealand, and it's you've got to have all sorts of licenses and permits to mill it. It's not really commercially farmed like pine. It's quite slow growing, and it's kind of like a precious metal of timber, shall we say? Mild steel compared to silver, say, not gold but silver. It's a thing. Jeff Hutchins, woodworking shouldn't be hard for a body guy. No, I like, that's what I say. I'd like to build a mahogany boat. I really do think I could do it. And I don't think I wouldn't screw up. I'm sure I would. Patience, exactly. Yeah. And not many body guys, have no patience. You've got to have patience. Otherwise you just walk away from the career. Andy Nickel, Chris, I'd come down and do your woodwork, but you'd have to give me a job because I wouldn't want to come back to Canada when it was done. It's funny, isn't it? A lot of Americans talk about going to Canada, get away from the political goings on here. Steve Sadusky, your work must have suffered from being sick, Kiwi. Yeah, it has. Short answer, yes. Certainly production has suffered in the last 3 weeks, quite a bit. What do you do, Yeah, it's hard as like a one and a third man business. Because Steve's great, but yeah, he's 3 hours a day, not even 4 hours a day, he's not even half a day. But he helps a lot. But at the same time, so when I'm down, if I don't open the doors, but effectively 90% of the workforce is gone. So yeah. Snow Crusher, you can only cut wood, but you can cut and weld metal. That's right, yeah. And they do say that it's only steel, it's only metal. Like if you do screw it up, you can weld it back together again. But timber, yeah, it's a little. That whole measure twice, cut once is definitely the mantra you got to have with wood. Now, we've gone over time because it's been fun catching up. And be honestly, guys, it has. But I'm fading, I must admit. Chris Freemasser, realistically, you're making that dash out of a cheap pine or poplar first. Then once you've everything figured out, you can make it a game with rim. Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. Oh, maybe. Yeah, okay. Do a dummy run. That makes sense. It just depends. I mean, if someone crosses my path that's like really good at woodwork and hasn't, it would need to be someone that has an interest in what I'm doing and has a like sees the project as that's cool. I'd like to do that. But to just go to some woodworking shop and say, can you do this? And, and it's just another pain in the ass job for them. That's probably not what I do, but it would need to be someone that wants to do it. But yeah, Chris, good idea. Granddad's junk. Getting the perfect finish is challenging, having the grain flowing nicely. Yeah, see, that is, where my knowledge is nil, like absolutely nil. There's probably ways, like in setting out that dash within the piece of timber that you've sent me is probably important. Why and how, I don't know. I don't know. Jeff Hutchins, Snow Crusher. That's the reason I always give for not doing woodwork. Okay. Now, Steve Sadusky, my Thanksgiving wasn't so good. I bought a turkey and brought it home, set it on the countertop, turned around to get a beer, and the damn thing flew out the window. Oh, dear. You should have got a plucked one, mate. Should have got a plucked one. Beagle Bob. Yep. Good night, mate. Thanks for joining in. Granddad's showing Andy, just wear a MAGA hat. You'll be the first member of Canada State. Oh, Lord. Snow Crusher, have one more cough remedy and off to bed. Yeah, I think I'll just finish the one I've got, mate. All right, guys. Chris Freemasser, dude, if I live down there, I'll be honoured to make that dash for you. Yeah, well, I mean, it just needs to be someone like that someone like yourself that wants to do it. And, there's a couple of things we've got to get done before we're kind of quite at that point. But, I feel confident that something will come up, like the paths will cross and something, it'll come together, Granddad's junk. Chris, brother, take a holiday with the family. Well, the family's coming here, so I'm sure we will be having a good time at some point. So Tavo, cheers Cheers, Kiwi. Thanks for hosting as well. Not so 100%, mate. It wasn't all selfless. I'll be honest. I do enjoy these evenings, so it was good to get back on. But yeah, it's time to go. Time for me to get some rest and have another crack at it tomorrow. So thanks for joining in. Thanks for all your comments. As always, and take care of yourselves and get to work on those cars, guys. I want to hear all about them. All right, you have a great night and week, and we'll see you here next Tuesday. All right, take it easy, guys. See ya. Thanks again.